talking about the example that we did, that means launching of a new product, right? I hope we remember, right? We wrote it in our notebooks. What are the pointers that we will be writing, right? Now, based upon that, let's understand what will be the preliminary pages, what will be the main text, and what will be the end matter. So, whenever you discuss about the report, preliminary pages means the information about that report which we are talking about, which is before the main topic is discussed, right? So, what are all the things that we discuss before the main topic? What are the things that we write? So, imagine about your case study that you have written. So, what is the very first thing that we do? You make the title page, right? So, that title page. What else after the title page? What do we have? Now, even before the abstract, we can have a table of content, right? So that means your title page, your table of content, your abstract, all these things will come there in the preliminary pages, because this is something which we are talking about before starting with the main topic, right? Now, I have a question. When we talk about the introduction, where should it come? Should it come in the main text or should it come in the preliminary page? Preliminary, okay. What about Janisha? Janisha, you were saying something? Now, people, whether the introduction will come under preliminary or main text will be decided by the fact that what you have written in the introduction. Okay. Now, understand this very carefully. When we discussed about launching of a new product, we also covered the product features in introduction. Remember, in the introduction, we first covered some basic introduction about the company. Then we covered about the product, right? The product features, the product benefits. Do we remember that one? The example that we did day before yesterday? Yes. Now, till the text where you have just introduced the company, that would come under preliminary. The other things, because my objective of the report is what? To introduce the new product. So everything related to the product will come under which one? Preliminary or main text? Okay. Now let's talk about what will come under end matter. What do you think? The report that you made, what should come under end matter? Your conclusion or any future scope that you have given, right? So if you have given any future recommendation that, okay, we will launch a version, a new version within 6 months, something like that. So all those information will be in the end matter along with the reference. So references, glossary, index, all those kind of things come under end matter. Are we clear on this? Report, the structure of report would be a little different from the case study, because case study wherein we are giving already existing information and we are just giving the information, whereas in report we give the details related to the financials, the business strategies, the marketing strategies. So my topic of the report was report on launching of a new product, right? So that means everything related to the product should come in which part? Preliminary, main text, or end matter? Main text. Why? Because it will directly map with the heading. So whatever matter of your report directly maps with the heading will be under main text. So that's what I said, that your title page, your abstract, your table of content, all that will come under preliminary pages, while the introduction of the company will also come under preliminary pages. But from the time you start talking about the product features, all that will come under main text. I hope this point is clear. Now from that point till your test result, comparatives, marketing strategy, everything will be under main text. Okay, because this is all the crux of the report. Now, finally, when we say the recommendations or the conclusion or the future scope, there we consider as end matter, because that is the end matter along with the references or maybe the appendix, the glossary, whatever we are covering. So all that will come under end matter. Are we clear on the layout? Any doubts? Anyone? All right. Now, these are some of the points that we need to remember. So these are some of the points that we need to remember. The number one point talks about that it has to be informative. Why it has to be informative? Because the entire objective of a technical write-up is to inform our customers, right? So that's why we need to make sure that related to the heading, everything should be informative. There should not be any, kind of entertainment type of information. Everything has to be related to the straight, I mean, the exact objective of the entire thing. So you have to make a balance. As a technical writer, you have to make sure that your report is informative also, and it creates interest of the reader also. So both the things have to be there. So that's why it says that you don't have to make it dull and boring. Now, can you tell me how will a report look dull and boring? How can we manage to make it dull and boring? All the text that you are putting, even if you have a lot of text, what strategy can you follow to put that text in a way that it is not boring? Simple structure. What else? There are more strategies that you can use. Pie chart graphs is the infographic part. Let's say that we have a lot of text. So how do we make it interesting? Number one is simple structure sentence. What else? You can use those end notes, footnotes. Yes. People, the major point is you can make it in a bullet points, right? That's how you will make it more presentable. So sometimes it happens that you cannot remove the text. You think that all the text is important to put, right? Then in that case, what you can do, you can actually put them in subheadings. That's what I was giving the feedback on, right? So like we have a lot of text, and what we can do, we we can make subheadings and then we can put it in the pointers. So that's how we can put maximum text also, and it will be interesting also. All right. Now the third point says it should be simple, so that we all know that we have to make it simple and interesting. Now, how do we make it interesting? By putting it in bullet points, small sentences, end notes, all those tools we can use, and the infographics, of course. Right? Grammar is very, very important. Whatever assignments you are making or whatever practice you are doing, make sure that you check it once on the Grammarly. Yeah? Grammarly tool, you should check it so that once at least you will get the errors and then you can correct them accordingly. Right? So always keep your spelling and grammar check, yeah, on the MS Word. So that spell check grammar should always be on. Right? So all those things we need to follow. All right, so these are some of the points that we need to remember. Now, let's go ahead. Also, when we talk about in the report, we have to see our audience. Very important. Whenever you are writing a report, you have to make sure that you know your audience. So it says that as a writer, when you know your audience, you are at a better position, right? So how are we on a better position? We will be able to put the text in a more better, in a better way, in comprehensive way, right? So all that would be there only when you know your audience, right? So what could be the type of audience? We already know all this, right? Experts, technicians, business oriented, or laymen. Okay, now what were the experts that we talked about? Remember, we were talking about the report that we will be writing for investigation purpose, maybe for inspection. So that time, it will be the audience will be your experts, right? Already in the organization. So those are the expert people. Okay, what about the technicians? People who have worked on the process, right? So those are the technical people. So we can use a lot of technical jargon. Business oriented. Okay, tell me about business oriented. How do you change your content if the audience is business oriented? So how does it make effect? I mean, how does it affect the writing? How does it affect the writing? That if if our audience are executives or business oriented people, we don't have to go inside the process of the product. Rather, we have to talk about the sales, profit, all those things. So those are the things that we need to cover, right? Or if it is a layman that we are talking about, for example, the case study that you wrote, or the launch of a new product that you wrote, that was for a layman. That was for a common audience, for public, right? Common public. So that could be, that format we all understand, simple with more of infographics and all those things, right? Okay. Now it says if you know your audience, what is the thing that the pointers? It says identifying and understanding the reader's position and their responsibility. Know what your reader expects. Understand where will this information be used, and evaluate what questions will the audience ask. So if you know that okay, these are the common questions that audience have there in their mind, so accordingly you can change the headings. For example, let's take the example of that the case study that Navriti has written about that Zomato thing, right? So let's say we are making a report. Okay, so we are preparing a report on Zomato for last 2 years. What was the profit or what was the loss percentage or what were the impacts, right? Now, what are the basic questions that an audience could ask if they are using Zomato? whether it is safe or not, right? Whether, what is the success rate? What is the food quality? All those are the questions that an audience might ask, right? Now, if in my report I already mention all those points, will that create interest in the audience? Yes, right? So that's how we can put those headings like impact of the pandemic, or what was the result of maybe the overall benefit that happened, or the sales report could be given. So all those all that kind of data would actually create an interest in the audience, because those were the questions that they wanted to ask, and you have already mentioned them in your report. So that means your report is good enough. All right. Now this is the pyramid that you see. This is the pyramid method of writing. So in the very first column, in the very first part, you see the summary, followed by the background, or you can say the introduction. Then you will have the discussion, details, and the action. That means the problems, right? There could be problems, there could be solutions, and finally the outcome or the action. That means the benefits that are there, plus the conclusion. Okay, so that is on the base. Now, my question is, why have we put summary on the this thing on the joining point at the top? Why is it summary at the top? Okay, so can we say that summary is the joining point related to all the pointers that are following it? Can we say that? Yes. So that is why it is at the top in on the joining point. Why? Because it has all the points of background, discussion, outcome. That means all the highlighting points of everything that is given in the entire pyramid is in the abstract, and that's why it is on the top, where the joining part is there, right? Okay. Now the other question is that why outcome, action, or conclusion is on the base? Why do we keep that thing on the base? Actually, whatever you mention in the conclusion uh, proves whatever you gave in the abstract, right? For example, in the abstract you wrote that this proposal has been made to, in order, the purpose of this proposal is to highlight the problems and the related solutions, right? Now in the conclusion you actually gave those solutions and the benefits of those. So that means the purpose that you mentioned in the very first instance, now you have proven that okay, this is the purpose and that is why I'm writing it. So whatever is given in the conclusion is the crux, or you can say the result of the entire paper. That's why I told you people to write in the conclusion the steps or the benefits. I hope this is clear to everyone now. Let's go ahead. Now see, it says a summary is considered as the most important information because this provides the purpose, that what needs to be discussed. Under the background we talk about the WH questions. So maybe in the introduction part we are talking about all the terms, why we are writing it, when and how. And then in the discussion part, we are talking about the actions, or maybe the problems, the solutions that we are providing, the problems, all those things will be here. Outcome defines a general statement of results. So the overall result of the entire write-up is given in the outcome or the conclusion. Now, also the level of this pyramid would actually depend on what? It will vary as per the requirement. So whatever information or whatever requirement is there, maybe the structure would change a little bit, right? So that, because it will depend upon the upon the kind of objective that we have for that. Okay. Now the other thing that should be there in the report, language and tone. Okay. So when we talk about tone, it says tone is created by the language the writer chooses for the audience. So what type of tone are we using in the report? Yes, people, we have already talked about it. So what type of tone do we use? So formal tone is there, objective tone is there, right? So that is the tone that we follow. Tone is used to be persuasive. Now it could be persuasive as well at times, like in brochure, right, or proposal. It could be persuasive. It could be used to convince the other person that okay, you should follow these recommendations. All right. Tone needs to be suitable for the subject. Very important. Depending upon the topic, your tone would change. So if it is a persuasive tone or it should be strictly formal tone, will be decided only by the topic. So only in kind of proposals or the brochures that you write, the tone could be persuasive. Otherwise, it will be strictly formal, talking about, giving the information, right? Active voice. when you use the active voice, you are actually giving the direct tone, the decisive tone. That means you are giving, a kind of a decision, a kind of confidence that is being portrayed here. So that type of tone is there. Now, talking about the language, language should be specific. So we are talking about the grammar and syntax, or you can say the kind of language. That means we have to keep the sentences small. We have to keep them specific to the object or the situation. It should be concise, well defined, should be understood by the audience, and narrative language should be minimal. That means we will not use those story kind of, remember how we write a story? So it's a narrative style. So we don't have to put that style here. We have to use a lot of explanatory style or descriptive style in the reports or in the any kind of technical write-up. Okay, I hope this language and tone thing is clear to everyone. Any doubts so far? Okay, now let's talk about the style in technical writing. So, what should be the style? It says it's a writer's way of writing. So, style could be different for all. Huh? Some people like to give more of headings and subheadings. Like, see, everyone wrote that case study, but everyone had their own style. Some people like to put more of headings, more of text. Some people like to put less of text and more of infographics. Right. So, those could be the different styles of the writers. Huh? So that has to be seen by which he or she expresses their thoughts and feelings. How the material is written. Now, whatever research you did, how did you use it? That is very important. So maybe there could be people who would research a lot, but then at the end of the day, when they write, they don't use that matter or they don't refer to those things. Whereas there could be another kind of people who will refer and take proper research notes and then put it. So that's how you should use the material that you are being referring. Now, see, there are two sentences given here. Time flies, and then there is second which says time is infinite movement without one moment of rest. Now, can you tell me which sentence is more appropriate for a technical writing view? So if we are considering a technical writing, which sentence is more appropriate? Okay, just have a look on the second sentence. It says, time is infinite movement without one moment of rest. What does it define? It is actually defining the term. Whereas when you say time flies, it is more of a creative writing. See, I agree that the sentence is small, but the writing style is creative in the first one. Do you agree? An emotional touch is there in the first one when it says time flies. Whereas in the second one, it is actually defining the term. The time is an infinite movement without one moment of rest. Here we are not giving anyone's point of view. We are just defining the term time. Are we clear on this? Yes? Do we agree? So, even if you are seeing the length of the sentence, there are other factors which have to be also considered. Not only the length, you have to also see what type of language has been used, right? So that is important. Now, see, it says the first sentence is simple but emotional, a little sentimental. It is simple, no doubt, but again, there are emotions involved. There is a touch of creative writing there. So it avoids the word died and substitutes a softer, gentler, less unpleasant expression. So they have used all those tools which are actually used in creative writing. Whereas in the B part, it is a plain, brief statement in which the writer's feelings are not directly indicated. So here, there is no feeling of the writer. It's only the definition. So I hope we are clear what type of sentences we should use in a write-up. Are we clear on this? Okay, so so far we have discussed about the audience, about the kind of sentences that we'll keep, about language and tone. Now there is this thing that you need to take care, that is clarity. So again and again this term is coming. That's the most important aspect whenever we are writing, right? Why is the clarity important? Because it enables the reader to understand. So maybe there could be instances wherein you wanted to inform the customers, but then the kind of information or the kind of sentences you wrote, it made the sentences very complicated. So people didn't understand. So that's why we need to make sure that whatever information we want to give to the customer, he's getting that. Okay. Readers need facts, not hazy or imprecise terms to make decisions and accomplish tasks. how we can do that. Use of specific and concrete words, very important, and appropriate verbs. So whatever action words that you are using, they also need to be simple.